Hi, welcome to Open House. My name is Robin H. Jimenez. I am the Vice President of Production and Editorial. And below me is Diane Xavier. She is one of our reporters. Next to her is Charity Chukwu, our
Yes.
copy editor, and Selena C. Brooks, one of our reporters. I'm so excited to have you ladies with me today as we go through another month of what we've been doing at the Dallas Examiner. We're going to start off with our question of the month, which is, being that this is the first open house of the year, and at New Year's, you always have New Year's resolutions. So we have goals and our goal. And so we're going to talk about what is our main goal, our biggest goal for 2022. We're going to start with Diane.
My main goal for 2022 is to declutter because my life is very cluttered, especially my bedroom, my living room. And so I need to get more organized. And that way I can get my goals accomplished. And also, it is to spend more time walking instead of talking. People say, you talk the talk, you better walk the walk. Well, 2022, I want to do more walking in all facets of my life.
So I can relate to the decluttering.
Ooh, I mean, we get piles and stuff.
Charity, what is your main goal for 2022?
Yes, I've for my 2022, my main goal is to go with an air of maturity. I've been told from many people that I look like a teenager or in my early 20s. I will assure y'all that I am much older than that. And I'm trying my best this year to be very intentional about how I dress, how I present myself, so that I do come off as a more mature and grown up Charity. I might start going by Charity C. Chukwu, maybe give myself a new identity as well. I've started, I don't really purchase clothes. If you all know me, there's only two things I spend money on, and that's traveling and food. So this year I'm going to be loosening up the purse strings and actually going online shopping, going in person to try on clothes, see how they fit me, asking the advice of my friends so that I can, level up and be, like Diane was saying, walk the walk of a grown-up reporter.
So Selena, what is your goal for 2022?
My goal for 2022 is really to continue one of the goals from 2021, which is to work towards my financial independence. I've already been speaking with a few financial advisors I want to hire one because I'm doing it now on my own. So I really need some professional advice. And then I have a goal to actually purchase one additional rental property before the end of the year to help build my portfolio. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, my goal for 2022 is a little bit more simple in a way. And basically it's just I'm trying to schedule everything. I want to get on a schedule and stick to the schedule and don't let anyone sidetrack me from my schedule. Tried it before, and you get pulled from one direction to the other and you're trying to please everybody, and pleasing everybody is impossible. So I'm just going to have to stick to my goal, and so that's it. And as far as our articles this past month, we did not have as many because we had our best of issue and then Christmas and all that stuff, or the other way around. But Diane had an awesome article before the year ended. Would you like to tell us about that?
Yes, it was about the South Oak Cliff High School football team winning the state title, which I predicted would happen. Everybody was forecasting this, and it finally happened. And to witness it in person was amazing because I mean, there was no guarantee they were going to actually win that football game because it was tight at halftime. But I think the coach spoke to them at halftime, and still, it wasn't. I mean, there was no guaranteed of the win until the fourth quarter. There was like a play in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left that secured Sauk the victory. So that was so good to see, especially after covering what Sauk High School went through, to get to this title game, and with their lack of resources compared to the rest of the state of Texas and their facilities. So I'm very happy and proud of them.
Yes, and
Can
looking
you
at their, I'm sorry, looking at their
no, I interrupted you. Sorry.
looking at their year, the year that they've had, you know, they you could tell they were hungry this year. They wanted it so bad. They really, really earned their way there, and they earned that win. Sorry, what were you going to say, Charity?
Oh, I was simply gonna ask if Diane could elaborate on what she meant by what they've been through for our readers, because I'm not sure everyone is kind of familiar with the history of South Oak Cliff
Yes,
High School. And oh, am I hard? Is it hard for you to hear me?
no, I can hear you. Yes, the history of Sauk, I went out there. I've been with the paper since 2013, and there were reports that the students were going to walk out on a protest. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then I was hearing stories that the facilities are run down. There's a flooding, there's termites. I'm like, how can you study in that type of environment? So I show up at the school just to interview the students because I'm getting one perspective, from the PR side, oh, it's not that bad. And then I'm getting a totally different perspectives when you talk to the students. And that's the real story, the students. And I just thought, how horrible, for students to go through that. Because I grew up in the Garland Independent School District. It was nothing like this. So for me to cover this, it was devastating to me. So I'm like, I'm going to get this story out. And then several years later, they finally renovated the school with I think, $60 million project, and it upgraded the facilities for the football complex, and the athletes took advantage of it. And so, I mean, in the state of Texas, football is big. I mean, Allen ISD has a $60 million football stadium that they practice in. And, and Sauk doesn't have that same facilities. And for them, yeah, they were hungry, but, and they live in a zone where, I mean, it's not the same as the North Texas, or not North Texas. Yeah, I'm right. The northern schools, North Dallas, it's not the same. Or Allen, which is not part of Dallas County, but part of Collin County, I believe. They're north from here.
Yeah.
So
yeah, they had a lot of issues with their school years ago.
yes.
No heating in some of the classes during the winter, no air in some of the classes in the summer. They were like, these are conditions we can't study under, and yeah, I do know that the football, or a lot of the sports, areas where they practice were not up to par. So I'm so glad that even though it took years to get, them where they needed to be, I think, our children deserve the best that we can give them.
Yes.
So, and not to plug KAI again, but they're the ones that renovated the facility to its state-of-the-art condition, where it's amazing now. So So, but moving on, um, I actually wrote an article. I think I've
Yes.
written two this year. Um, and I the first one was the one I was going to talk about, but it was a little bit more shallow, which was the movie Taz. Um, because it's an awesome movie. If you haven't seen it, then you know, you have I don't know, whatever streaming service, then see if you have it, TAZ. Um, it's a Black movie, and it's local. So I definitely recommend you see it because I'm not going to talk about it today. Um, but last month I wrote an article about the, let me get the full name up, Comprehensive Housing Policy Racial Equity Audit Report. I think that's the full name. I could be saying it wrong, and if I am, I'm sorry. But Casey Thomas, Councilman Casey Thomas, um, is the chairman for the Housing and Homelessness Solutions Committee, and he called for the audit, and TDA Consulting did the audit, and they did an amazing job. They were very, very thorough. They went through several months of going over current policies and, you know, several plans that are already in place to try to help, you know, different people, different communities. And they talked to the council members themselves. They talked to various communities, um, you know, African American, Hispanic communities, the LGBTQ community, um, you know, large developers, you know, went through different neighborhoods to talk to a wide variety of people that, you know, have been, you know, I guess chronically underserved, and, you know, just, you know, to really see what's going on. Um, and what they found was that there was systemic racism that stem back since the Civil War that prevented Black and Hispanic communities from owning land, and not just owning land, but building generational wealth, which, you know, is a big word right now because people are like, wait a minute, okay, we know people have been doing it, but not typically minority people, not typically Black and Hispanic people. So how do we do this? Um, and so what they discovered was there, you know, these policies had been in place. They have been somewhat revised, but not to the point where it made a big enough impact to make us equal. You know, it might help some people, but as a whole, you know, Black and Hispanic communities have still been left behind. So anyway, it was written in two parts because it's so many details, so much information. So the um, the second part actually covered um, basically, you know, specifics about what was discovered and their recommendations. Um, and that was actually in today's newspaper. So you have to pick one up to read more about that. But I do want to give you heads up that uh, from January 17th through January 21st, they're going to be hosting uh, 4 citywide town hall meetings, and, you know, to discuss their findings. So you can log on to what is the city's website? Cityhall.com, something like that. DallasCityHall.com. Try DallasCityHall.com, something like that. So and I believe it might be in the article as well. I don't remember, but you can also call, what is our 411 and find out that information, or Google it. But either way, I would recommend that if you can attend in person or virtually, which virtually is better because, you know, COVID,
Nice.
then I would recommend you do so. Anyway, did anyone want to chime in on the article before we move on?
You know, I always have a lot to say, but I'm gonna give somebody else a chance because I want to say something.
Well, I mean,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of resources that are out there that people are not familiar with that can really help them. And so I would go check out that website and see what resources are there. And sometimes there's a backlog, but you know, you don't know until you something, you know, we have everybody's on their cell phones. Google it on your cell phone. It'll come up fast. So
And while that is true, not everybody qualifies. So, I mean, there's a lot of programs and you really have to work for it sometimes. So, and I think that's the purpose of this audit, to make it so you don't have to work so hard to get what other people have been able to get so easily.
Right.
So, so I commend Councilman Casey Thomas for putting all that, getting all of that, the big ball rolling, because no one's ever done that before. But go ahead, Charity, what were you going to say?
Pretty much the same thing along the lines of what you were saying. It's like, thank you, thank you, Councilman, for, you know, stepping up. Like, this is kind of what we need in our leadership in Dallas right now. Like, I feel like a lot of the times we're kind of stagnant, and we kind of go through these lulls where we talk about things, but nothing really ever gets accomplished. And this feels like finally a step in the right direction, where we're making those steps to make that change. And I want to see them held accountable, because, you know, the eyes are, like, a lot of eyes are on this right now. And I'm tired of the talk. I want to see the action. And this was the first actionable thing that they've really done. So I'm glad for it.
And we will be keeping up with them to see where it's going from here, because now it's going to be up to the council members to do their part.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
so moving along, we have
Too quickly.
Charity.
Still.
The right amount of speed. We have Charity's picks for not just this month, but this whole year. So put some work in this. Go ahead, girl.
It's been a year, but it's had its ups and downs, as I'm sure everybody has had their ups and downs in the times of the Rona. But I feel like there have been a lot more ups than there have been downs, and I'm so proud of this paper. I can't say it enough, because sometimes I feel like I don't say it enough about how much I enjoy reading the stories that all of our reporters write. Like, I'm an avid reader, and for the longest time, I'm just like, I don't even know what to read. And it's nice to come into work and really truly like surprised by a really well-written, well thought out, well-reported article that Selena, Diane, Mike, Robin, even Ms. Belt has taken the time to, you know, get out on the street, make those phone calls, knock on those doors, et cetera, to, you know, get the paper moving and give me
Oh,
something
don't forget
to look for.
yourself.
Yes,
You've
and
written some
myself,
good
let me
articles.
pat myself on the back every now and then when I am able to finally gather up the time to write an article myself on something that really truly interests me. Maybe not a lot this year, but expect more from me in the future. But let's get right to it. I'm going to tell you, this PowerPoint took a lot out of me. It took a little bit of my soul. Uh, it's a lot of stories to look back on. Thankfully, because of Robin's best of, like, I want y'all to know that Robin is the brainchild of this newspaper, because she did an amazing job on the best of issue this year. And it's through her guidance that I'm able to even show you what I've put together, because woo child, when it comes to like doing all the editing and all the graphics, how can I say this? There is not enough credit given to making things look visually appealing to people and to the masses, because we take for granted what a newspaper, a magazine, print, whatever we look on social media with all this digitally designed things, because we're like, oh, this is nice, and we're just focused on the content. But the work that goes into making that content visually appealing, it takes time. It takes time and just a whole lot of effort. And as I even talk to you right now, I'm just like thinking how much time it took me to do what I did right now. And I did a shortcut version of what Robin does every day. So thank you, Robin. Before I actually have a whole little editor's note that I wrote just for this issue, and I'm going to stick to the script because I was talking to Robin about this earlier this week, that I am not a good improviser and I'm working on it. But yeah, let's just do it. Okay, before I switch screens and everything. Editor's notes, Dallas Examiner top picks for, you know what? Give me 1 second. I want to read this while I share that first screen, because again, this is all Robin's doing and I just did a shortcut. I'm like, what I've learned from my experience as an educator is like, you need to work smarter, not harder. And because I was not over here trying to do all the design work that Robin does every week, I pretty much just took her work and like just showed you what she did, because it was just magnificent. So if you will give me 1 second. And I just click the share screen when I'm ready, right?
Mhm. Silence.
Oh, sorry. I realize I forget that we're live. I'm like, oh, it's really quiet. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. Okay, yeah. Here. I think this is.
While she's doing what she's doing, I will tell you that our best of issue is done in with a theme of Kwanzaa. So each
Yes.
section follows the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and then we try to put the articles in the categories that we feel best fit that principle.
What a perfect lineup. Okay, let me. Okay, share screen, more. View. How do I go to there? It's green. It's a green button. Okay. Tell how tired I am. There we go. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay.
Your screen has started sharing.
I know. I'm gonna hit present. Is it presenting? Come on. Oopsie daisy, oopsie daisy. Okay, all right, here we go. December top picks, the best of 2021 edition. A list compiled by Charity C. Chukwu, copy editor of the Dallas Examiner. All right. For the best of 2020, a year in review edition of the Dallas Examiner, our very own VP of production and editor-in-chief, the Robin H. Jimenez, took the time to pick her top 5 stories throughout last year that best encapsulated what happened in Dallas in 2021. You can view those picks on the very top of the last issue of the year, entitled the Time Capsule. As for me, I prefer to take a different approach and pick my top 7 stories from each of the 7 tenets of Kwanzaa. Okay, that's the first tenet of Kwanzaa. The first day is called Umoja. Umoja means unity in Swahili, to strive for and maintain unity in the family, the community, nation, and race. I chose Diane Xavier's Implicit Bias and Mental Health. This was a 3-part series, and it was really, really well researched, really well written. The amount of information and time and commitment to get all, I wrote copy for this, okay? Let me just stick to what I wrote. Implicit Bias and Mental Health, Part 1, Stigma and the African American Culture. Now, this story was part of a 3-part series, and I chose it because it really tackles the many issues surrounding simple I'm sorry, my glasses, I'm nearsighted. So I have to take off my glasses to read, and then I have to put them back on to see far away. Anyway, now the story, it really tackles the many issues surrounding simple mental health issues in the Black community. We are so heavily neglected when it comes to our mental well-being. This really brought so many problems to light that I personally think go a long way in unifying our community. So, of the stories that were listed on that very beautifully laid out page, I think Diane's really exemplified this tenet of Umoja. So, please let us continue to talk about mental health in our community.
Yeah.
I am African. I can say this word. Kujichagulia. Yes. It's not my language, but I believe I'm pronouncing that okay. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Collective work and
Go ahead.
How do you say it, please?
And I just know it's hard for me to say all together.
Kujichagulia?
I believe
is it
the last
Kujichagulia?
Something like that. Anyway.
Okay. Collective work and responsibility to build and maintain our community together and to make our brothers and sisters' problems our problems and to solve them together. Now, there's 2 stories here because I honestly couldn't pick, but I feel like Monday Night Politics is always something that we need to look out for as a community, to know exactly who our representatives are and what they're about, and if they're making the commitments that they say they're making. And this is the best. If you haven't seen Monday Night Politics, please check it out. It is streamed every time that a group of individuals is running. And after that long stream, Diane usually covers it, and it's posted the next following week. And I really liked the forum this time, so I wanted to highlight that. But if I were to pick my top story of the two, I would have to go with Robin's Dallas leadership tug of war exposes glitches. Robin, do you want to say a little bit about this story? I think you could explain it the best than having me ramble on about it. If you could sum it up, what would you like our readers to know about your story over here?
I think for the most part, there were a lot of issues that they were dealing with, and a lot of it was around COVID. And, you know, I think I don't, you know, it's been almost a year. So I don't remember exactly everything, but I know that there were that they were just starting to make plans for the city, and not everybody was on the same page. So they had to find a way to for everybody, well, basically, I guess, vote on what they, how they were going to handle things. Regarding COVID vaccines, you know, etc.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a meeting to talk about how they were going to tackle this ginormous issue that I feel like a lot of cities were also under pressure to tackle as well. And the exposes glitches part of your title is exactly what you were saying. Like, they were literally in that. If you read the story, you'll see the opposing opinions of council members. Yeah, and the opposing opinions of the council members, and also like the glitches in the system, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, yes, this, because of all of this that's happening, we've finally seen all the other issues, systemic issues that have arisen because, we've kind of been in this kind of, oh, everything's fine. But when there's a huge issue that affects everyone, that's when all these issues kind of come to light. For our next tenant, Ujima, self-determination, to define ourselves, name ourselves, create for ourselves, and to speak for ourselves. I chose Selena's story, Equity and Inclusion, COVID's impact on students' academic and mental well-being. Like, bravo, because I have never read an article that really talked about how COVID has been affecting students. I've read articles that say, this is what it's doing to students. Never have I seen like professionals talk about, their own personal experiences, seeing what the mental strain of being behind a computer all the time, being stuck at home, not being in the classroom, and the true impact of COVID on a student's life. Like, I used to teach, and I know that screen time is limited in my classroom for a reason, because it weighs on the attention span of students. Like, we need to like get back to things where it's not just them constantly having this instant like click, 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 click. And we even talked about it as teachers. And now they literally, that's all they had to do for almost a year. And to come back from that into the classroom, it was well discussed and by professionals about how we can go from there, and what it's done to our students. So well done, Selena. Thank you for that story. Our next tenant is Ujama, cooperative economics, to build and maintain our stores, shops, and other businesses, and to profit from them together. Now, I had to decide between our great publisher, Miss Belt, Ms. Molly, Mrs. Molly F. Belt, and Selena because these were two really, really great stories. I know you just recently talked about Friendship West expanding credit union, and we talked about it in a previous Facebook Live. So I'm not going to dive into that. If you want to hear more about her side of that story, I would suggest you to listen to that other Facebook Live. So I'm going to talk about Miss Belt right here and her promoting True Kitchen plus cocktails, or is it True Kitchen and cocktails? I'm not quite sure. I need to go there and find out because I love to eat.
The food is amazing.
Yes, and here we have two very handsome Black men featured side by side, so you can see what they are doing in our community to help, with this cooperative economics. We are feeding our money back to where it needs to be in our community. You see it in the Asian community, you see it in the Hispanic community. They all have their own little personal stories. We need to have that in our community. And Miss Belt, I wish she would send me out on some of these stories so I could, talk to these people, really find out what they're doing for the community while having a great meal and, talking it up a bit. So please, I'm not gonna, I know it's, a conflict of interest to go check out this place, but go check out the story and see what you like. We have, you see, I feel like maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied, quoting Prince. I could not choose for Nia. Nia is the purpose to make our collective vocation, the building and developing of our community in order to restore our people and their traditional greatness. This was a great setup. Like, you made it so difficult for me to choose just one story. And if I had to, I would choose my story.
Yeah.
The fierce urgency. It's like we are about to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day, a day that I personally use to go volunteer and give back to the community. I think everyone should do that at least once a year, if not on MLK's birthday. But I want to talk about this celebration that had to change its entire concept into a virtual celebration because of COVID. Now, how to talk about myself, because this is something that I have trouble with. The fierce urgency of now, MLK Center hosts virtual Black History celebration by me, Charity Chukwu of the Dallas Examiner. I really enjoyed writing this story because I got to experience watching this entire event. And I am kind of a nerd when it comes to production and editing and the such, and video editing. And when I tell you that the MLK Center did a magnificent job editing and putting together all the videos to make you feel like you were actually in that museum, talking to all the sponsors, listening to all the conversations between the host and the presenters about the issues that are often looked past in our community. We had one specific presenter who was talking about his book and how he had traveled to a festival, and he realized that by being at this festival, he needed to compile all of these different elements to put together this book. And at first you think, oh, he's just trying to promote his book, when you realize that he's really trying to promote the African-American experience, the African-American history. He talks about how he journeyed to write this book. And it made me think, I need to go travel. I need to go do more and see our history in different places. And I just love the way that interview went. And I don't know if it's still on their site, but the virtual Black History Celebration, I don't know if they're having it again this year or if they're opening up in person again. But if they are doing some sort of hybrid celebration where it's in person and virtual. I would encourage people to, if you're in a situation where you can't be in person to go see this event, watch it online if possible. And if not, find a time to visit the MLK Center and see if they have that presentation from the previous year to witness it again, because it is truly inspiring. And that was definitely a year that I feel we all need to be inspired.
Real quick
All the other
before
stories
you,
on.
I was just gonna say real quick before you move on, the MLK actually has a series of things going on, so I'll post it on Facebook, so that people can check it out. And I don't know if that's going to be part of it. I didn't read the whole list, but just in case, they can check out whatever MLK has going on.
Awesome. As for the 4 other stories, great job, Diane and Selena. Like, all of these things needed to be highlighted. I can't say it enough. Yes, brain injury, talk about it. HIV/AIDS, talk about it. I mean, we live in a food deserts in southern Dallas. Please talk about it. Like, we need these stories talked about. They can't just keep being brushed past and saying, yeah, well, that's life. No, when you talk about it, that's when change happens. And thank you for highlighting that amazing NFL player that is giving back to his community. Like, honestly, we love and we escalate sports in the state tremendously. But when have we ever really highlighted the players who are in the community doing what they need to do to, give back and to say, hey, this city gave me so much, I'm going to try and give it as much as I can as well. And this amazing man did that. And thank you for that, Diane, because we need to humanize our football players. We don't need to always hold them up this high as this great sportsman. There are other things too, and they are great community leaders. So thank you. Wait, sorry. I have to keep moving the little screen where all of our faces are, because I'm like, what happened to my story? Kumba, creativity, to do always as much as we can in the way we can in order to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than we inherited it. And Robin, I love a good movie, and this is a great review. Like, why have I not seen this movie? I'm so ashamed. It has everything that would interest me, African American growing up, African growing up to just to do traditional American values. That's my story. Fraternity life, which I'm just curious about. I have no idea what's going on there, but like, it really juggles the balance between having to adapt to traditional values in the African community and Americanized values of brotherhood and the Black American culture we Black Americans have in this country, and having to juggle between those two forces mixed in with religion and all this other stuff. And Deo, I believe, is the main character. He is really trying hard to please his father, but also to build community when he goes to college. So it's a great review. And yeah, I need to go and put that on my to watch list, because you did a great job, and I hope more people will try and go and see this local filmmaker making a Black movie that represents. I believe there's a lot of Africans in Dallas right now who are in fraternities. So try
But I do
reach out to your brothers if you're listening. No, go ahead.
I do want to say that even though it's about a young man from Africa, it's not just that,
Okay.
it's about the struggle between a young man and his father. It's about the struggle between doing what will please someone else versus what you want to do for yourself, whether regardless of whether it's for religious or traditional African background or whatever. if I may, real quick, I will say that growing up, you know, I'm Seventh-day Adventist, and we're kind of strict compared to a lot of religions. Um, and so, there's always that age um, where you're learning to be your own person, and you have this struggle between how much of the church do I take with me when I'm with my friends who are partying and drinking and all of this stuff. So you
Exactly.
have that battle, even, I'll say probably within every religion to some extent. So, you know, I think there's so many dimensions that um, there's a little something for everyone.
Well said. It,
I
uh,
agree. So
I think it's very relatable. Don't just think that, oh, it's not for me because I'm not Black, I'm not, I'm not a part of this community. It has those universal values like Robin was talking about. Then I think a lot of young people and adults, if they think back, relate to them. People who are religious, it's there. So give it a chance. I think I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give it a chance this weekend.
The
Hey, we
parent-child
have that long
struggle.
weekend coming up.
Oh, and growing up without your father in your life, a little bit of that.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on. I know we're running short on time, and I want to give room for Selena. Uh, this is Imani, faith, to believe with our hearts in our people, our parents, our teachers, our leaders, and the righteousness and victory of our struggle. Um, Mike is not here today, but there was a couple of stories on this page, but I have not highlighted any historical pieces. And I think it's very important that we look back on our history and we learn from our history and our, what it teaches us and what our parents and like the tenant is telling us, our leaders are teaching us. And Dr. Melba Patillo Beals of the Little Rock Nine, or is it Patillo? Patillo. Little Rock Nine members recall integrating Arkansas High School during Jim Crow era. Now, Mike, he wrote a very, very good story about this woman and her life. And when you think about the racism in this world and how children experience racism, she thought back to that time in her life and recalled what it was like growing up uh, and being part of that historical group of kids trying to integrate at high school and all that they went through. I was just blown away by it. Like, you read it so many different versions, you hear about it in history books, et cetera, but to hear about it from the person it happened to, it's a whole nother it's a whole other view. So I would definitely encourage y'all to read it. And
Really good story.
really, really good story. So that's all I have to say about that. We have limited time, so I'm gonna, turn it over back to you, Robin. I believe that is our last tenant. Yeah,
Okay.
going back to.
So I will say also, since that's our last one, just real quick, this was one of my favorite ones because when I was growing up, I went to a predominantly white school in elementary, and so much racism, so much racism. Um, you know, within it was two different schools, one in Atlantic City and one in Lubbock, Texas. And it's like our children are so young. You don't I, as an adult, had I not been through it, would be like, how are our young children so racist? But I mean, and I'm not saying everybody, but it was pretty bad. I got called a lot of racist names. um Roots came out when I was in elementary. if I'm not dating myself too much. And, you know, I was threatened in ways similar to, you know, what these children saw in Roots. They were like, you know, threatening me. Um, and, you know, I mean, I thought that was bad. I mean, it was, children shouldn't have to go through that. But this woman, she not only went through having to be around other children that did not necessarily like her, but the adults, you know, the adults got in her face and, you know, threatened her and cussed her, and, you know, and their threats were real, not like the children that threatened me. These were adults. Um, you know, they had to be escorted by the National Guard. That's scary, you know. So I think it's Mike, I agree. He did an amazing job of capturing her story. She did an amazing job of telling it. So I definitely recommend you, you know, looking it up on DallasExaminer.com, or call and ask for an old copy if you like to, you know, read the newspaper itself. Um, if you want to go old school with it and actually read it, then anyway, if you want to take it off of sharing,
Yes.
then we will move on to last but never least. Selena is going to talk. She's doing the upcoming this time.
Yes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about upcoming events, specifically with the MLK holiday coming up on Monday. The National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis will be hosting this year a hybrid King's Holiday event. So they will have people there in person actually touring the museum, but they will also be hosting a virtual presentation given the increase, the surge or the increased numbers in COVID. So they're going to be given a overview of the American Civil Rights Movement from slavery all the way up to present day. They said that they will also have musical guests performing in spoken word, as well as doing a tribute to the civil rights, to Martin Luther King. And talking from a person who recently visited the museum, I visited last month. If you can join this virtual event, I strongly encourage you to do so. I'm not sure how they plan to do the actual tour, but as an individual who was there in person, the hotel still has the original setup from when MLK was assassinated. From the hotel rooms, from the size of the beds, the place settings, and everything. It was really it was kind of, I hate to say it's kind of cool, but it was kind of cool to see how things were set up and how they maintained that setup. And one thing that I was told that previous years, you were not able to tour the actual room across from where the hotel where Martin Luther King was assassinated, where James Earl Ray actually was, but now this part is open. So you are actually able to tour that part as well. You get to see the bed. They have the bathroom set up. The window, when I was there, the window was even cracked of how he had his the gun outside the window. So I encourage you, if you can attend the virtual event, do so. It's free. It's this Monday the 17th. It's going to be starting at 8 a.m. Central. For more information, you can go to our website, thedallasexaminer.com, and click on the Black Experience tab where you can get additional information. And if you can get there in person one day, I encourage that as well. It is a great experience, a great learning experience.
Well said.
Yeah.
I've seen photos, but I know it's nothing like being there in person.
In person. Yeah. Like some parts of it gave me goosebumps, because when you first come in, they start off with the slave trade and gave the whole background history on that. They talked about the history of how we built the economy for the U.S. And there's movies, there's so much interactive stuff there. And then there's a couple floors, you go up to another area where you actually tour the hotel rooms of where Martin Luther King was, where Jesse Jackson was, and all of that. And then you can go across the street to the other area where James Earl Ray was. So if you can do it, do it. It has the original sign and everything. So it's really special how they were able to maintain everything, especially over all these years.
Yeah.
And I will say that I got to visit. I was fortunate enough to visit a few years back, and everything Selena is saying is true. It's breathtaking, the way they preserved it, all the exhibits inside. Like, you actually see like life-size depictions of people being brought across the Atlantic during the slave trade, while they were literally sitting
chained to the boat.
Yes, chained, one in front of the other, underneath those boats, waiting to be delivered to the United States, like human packages. So it's a really emotional day, I think for everybody. It's important, and if you're ever in, it's Memphis. Is it Memphis? It's Memphis, right?
Tennessee. Mm-hmm.
I would encourage you to make sure that's one of the sites you see.
Yeah. So again, DallasExaminer.com, and go to the Black Experience link to get more information.
Yes, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And also, just as important, Monday Night Politics, which Charity began her top picks talking about. We have started Monday Night Politics, and we had the first one last Monday with candidates for U.S. Representative, District 30 and 33. Next week, not this Monday, because we're celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King, but the following Monday, we're going to have another Monday Night Politics, and it's going to be featuring candidates running for mayor and what's the other one? I forget. Oh no.
Hold on. I have a paper right next to me. Because I have to in these tough times. Hold on.
Let me see. I was just about to try to bring it up on screen, which I guess I should have done. But while she's looking, we will, it'll start at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be virtual. It's going to be through Zoom. They're going to be in person at the African American Museum. And but the audience will watch on Zoom, or you could go to Facebook Live, either way. And if you want the link to the Zoom, if you want the Zoom link, then visit DallasExaminer.com, and you'll see, right under the Jumbotron Monday Night Politics, click on that, and you should get the link. You'll have to register, but it immediately gives you the link so you can have it for Monday. And it's going to be a good one. I can guarantee you that. We've innovated the way we feature Monday Night Politics, so I think you will really enjoy it. Also, watch the previous one. We did have a little bit of a technical issue that we are resolving. Ignore that because the next one is going to be well, we're going to try to get it glitchless, but you know, technology today, if it's not one thing, it's another. But did you see who the second person is?
Uh, no, it's just it's telling me I think the previous.
Oh, okay. Well, oh, you know what?
It's a
I have it.
March 1st primary election
Hold on.
for U.S. District 30.
I actually have it up. If I can just scroll down to it, I've actually forgot about it. So I just need to look for it. Let me see. Oh, and then we also have several other Monday Night Politics after that because um, we have several people running for office.
Is it U.S. District 30 or was that the last one
No,
in my
we did that one
politics?
already. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'll tell you what, just go to the Dallas Examiner, click on Monday Night Politics, and then we won't have to try to get it. I should have had it up. I thought I did, but I do not. So my apologies for that one. But we'll have it more organized for the next upcoming
I'm gonna
Monday
do
Night
Google
Politics
search
because
right now.
but we also have some coming up in February, so we'll have that list for you as well within the next couple of weeks. But for this month in particular, we have I believe 2 more weeks, so that gives us 2 more Mondays. So and the most important thing, of course, as we all know, is to be informed. So this is your opportunity to listen to what the candidates have to say about how they're going to affect your community and to ask them questions in real time, you know. And it's so important that we vote, but do so informed of the
Oh,
issues and who's actually running, what they stand for, and what they've done in the past. So
yeah.
make sure you're
The next
registered
one
to
is
vote.
I found it. The
Okay,
next
good.
one, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
The next one is for governor and lieutenant governor on January 24th.
Lieutenant Governor. I know it's something that I should remember because
That's gonna be a big one, all right.
yep, we have
Okay.
Lee Merritt, the attorney extraordinaire that has thrown his hat in the ring for lieutenant governor. So, I'm anxious to see how that's going to go. As far as
I'm
voting.
immediately putting that on my calendar right now because woo, uh, I want to see how that goes too.
So,
It's been a year. It's been a year for sure.
yes.
Yeah.
So, if either way, regardless of who you agree with, which I'm not going to tell you who to agree with, it's very important to vote. That's the most important thing, is that you get out there. Your voice will never be heard louder than when you vote. And if you don't vote, you can't complain later. Um, you know, I tell everybody, if you decide not to vote, you're just giving someone else the opportunity to make choices for you. Um, and I don't know about y'all, but I don't want nobody making choices for me as far as who I'm voting for. So get out, get registered, be informed, and vote. Along those lines, I want to remind everybody to, if you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you're vaccinated, get your booster. Wear your mask when you're in public. And now we're back to wearing the N95 for everybody. So stay protected, stay safe. Um, Make sure that you like, share, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest. Visit us on www.dallasexaminer.com and download our app. You can find the app on Apple apps, whatever it's called, and Android.
Android, the Play Store, and what is the I don't know what the app for the other one is,
The
but if
App
you're an
Store.
Android
I think it's
user,
App
go
Store.
to it's the App Store and the Play Store for Android users.
Yeah. So anyway, stay in touch, and we will see you all next week at our usual time, the very first Thursday of the month at 6:30 p.m. And don't forget, if you guys see us on Facebook Live next month and you're joining us, you can start asking us questions or general comments. We take comments. So we're going to start, now that you
Take
are
nice
more familiar with
comments,
us.
please. Please be respectful.
Constructive comments. We take compliments too. So, but make sure you join us and interact with us so that we can make this a fun experience for all. So in the meantime, stay safe and take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.